All right. So now we're going to get into the part of things where I am most interested, and that is getting a little deeper into like the psychology and the team building and the team dynamics and how people interact. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I think it's vitally important for project managers to understand this kind of stuff. You don't have to be a psychologist, but you need to understand the basics of how people work so that you can deal with issues that come up, because anytime you have a group bigger than one, there will at some point be issues, interpersonal issues. So you have to know how to deal with them. That's part of your job as a project manager. So there are a couple of things that I've done in the past and I've used, and that I would really, really recommend, because they're not difficult. They're easy to understand, and it helps the entire team, not just the project manager, understand each other better. So let's take a quickie look at the first thing is just take a simple Myers-Briggs test. Most people have heard of this, the Myers-Briggs. This is the introvert, extrovert, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. You know, this stuff. Now, most of the tests you get online, the free ones, are not terribly in depth, but they will give you a general sense of self-awareness and understanding how you deal with the world and how you deal with other people, and understanding how other people do those things. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, well, one of the biggest things that I learned for people management was the difference between introvert and extrovert. That was a huge deal. And just understanding that makes a big difference in how you interact, in how you're able to manage your people. So introverts, a lot of thinking years ago was that introvert equals shy, and that's not true. I'm a highly manifested introvert. I have no problem getting in front of a camera or public speaking or any of that stuff. I'm not shy. All that means is when I process information, I process it internally first, and then I speak about it. Whereas an extrovert, when they're thinking through something, they tend to think with words. The other thing is what recharges you. So if I'm in a group of people, that drains me, and I need to be by myself and have some alone time to recharge myself, and extroverts are the opposite. And it's not that I don't like being around people. I love a good party, but I can only take so much of it, and then I have to have some alone time. And extroverts, they don't mind lone wolfing the big project for a while, but that drains them, and at some point they need to be around people to recharge themselves. So that's a very important thing to understand, because if you've got an extrovert that's constantly locked up lone wolfing things, that's not good for them, and eventually that's going to be problematic for the team, and vice versa.
You have a bunch of introverts and the extrovert goes to all the introverts constantly disturbing them.
Right. That's not good for them, and it will eventually be a problem. Now, I will say that by and large, programmers tend to be introverts. We like talking to machines. That's why we're programmers, is because we can just go off by ourselves, do our job, and we don't have to interact all the time. So that tends to be a big thing with programmers, is we're primarily introverts. But I would highly recommend, just even if it's just for you to understand yourself better, this is a good place to start. Even more than that, I highly recommend the Gallup-Clifton Strengths Finder. Not only did this help me understand myself better and get better at figuring out how to manage myself personally during the day so that I didn't burn out, so that I was more effective, so that I was doing the things that I'm really good at and letting other people do the things that I'm not good at. But it also, because the whole team took these things, we were able to talk about these and say, okay, you two people should work more together because your strengths are very complementary. It does cost a little money, but it's not that expensive. You can get the top 5 strengths test for like $20 a person. It's pretty cheap. But this was so eye-opening for me from a personnel management standpoint. So I would highly recommend people take a look at this, and get your team to take this thing. It's worth the $100 or whatever it costs to get the. I mean, they have a more comprehensive one that's like $50 a person, but you don't need that. It's nice if you can afford it, but you don't need it. So, I think it's also a good idea to once in a while spend a little time just reading on the internet articles about group dynamics and team psychology, just to get a basic understanding and keep it fresh in your mind of things to look out for and things to be aware of in the team situations. So have you taken either one of these tests?
Myers-Briggs.
And I know you're also an introvert.
Well, the last time I tested, I was actually between an introvert, because it's not black or white. There's shades of gray. So I was actually between, I was probably like 60-40 introvert versus extrovert.
Right.
So, yeah.
And these are scales. This is not like flip a switch. This is not binary. These are scales, each of these 4 things. And the other thing is they can and most likely will change as you age.
And different experiences and whatnot.
Right. So it's a good idea actually to do this every few years or so. A, to kind of refresh yourself on what it means, but B, to see if you've changed any. Because this stuff really does inform how you deal with a group of people. And I think being self-aware is very, very important to leadership. You need to understand what you're good at and what you suck at, and get people to make up, find the right people to make up what you suck at so that you can do what you're good at. And you need to be aware of that with the people you're managing too. Don't make this person the UX designer if they suck at graphic design. Let them do what they're good at. So that comes to the bad part about this, dealing with interpersonal issues or problem team members. So have you ever had to do something? Have you ever had a problem person, or not necessarily a problem person, but either a problem person or something that flared up in the team that you had to step in and deal with?
Always. Of course, I'm trying to think. I mean, definitely stuff has happened. I'm trying to think of particular issues, but yeah, I mean, it's going to happen.
Right. And I think, going back to the beginning of the conversation where I was talking about servanthood being an important part of leadership, you need to understand that sometimes to serve the team, you need to fire somebody. There is always that possibility. If somebody is causing problems for the team and they're just, they may be good at programming, but they're just a jerk to everybody and nobody wants to be around them, that's probably not good for the team. And you're not serving the team by keeping that person around. Now, that's not to say as soon as they mouth off to somebody, you fire them. You should try dealing with it, talk to the person, see if you can get it corrected first. But there have been times when I haven't been able to get it corrected, and you just have to make a decision because that's what's good for the project and for the other team members, and probably for that person. They're obviously not happy with here. They should probably be happier somewhere else. I will say that that's the thing I hate most about project management, is having to deal with something that bad. I mean, I don't have a problem with, hey, these guys had an argument. Let's get in here, hash it out, and be buddies again. You know, let's talk it out. And stepping in and being the intermediary for those things, that doesn't bother me. But when you have to finally make a decision of they're not gonna get better, and this is killing the team, you have to be aware of that, and you have to be able to do it. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that sucky subject, other than it's necessary sometimes, and you got to be aware of it.
If you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here, or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.